Second?
Yeah, second.
All in favor? I pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I believe the first thing on the agenda for us is the public hearing. It's scheduled for 7 o'clock for the Plum Island Grill, and I'll read the announcement. Legal notice, Newbury Licensing Board. Notice is hereby given as required under Chapter 138 of the General Laws, as amended, that a public hearing will be held Tuesday, December 10th, 2013, at 7 p.m. at Newbury Town Hall, 25 High Road, Newbury, Mass., on the application of Plum Island Grill Incorporated, 2 Plum Island Boulevard, Newbury, Mass., for an alteration of licensed premises for an all-alcoholic restaurant license. And it's addressed, the Newbury Licensing Board. I believe this was in the paper. So I'll ask, are you spokesman for it?
I'm spokesman.
Come on up. The floor is yours. Any way you want. You spread it by the microphone. Yeah.
The nomenclature used by the state, alteration of premises, is a misnomer. We're not asking to alter our premises. We're asking to correct the legal description that's on file at the ABCC. So we've submitted an as-built plan to the town, which Kathy has a copy of. And when the ABC filings were done in past years, a Form 43, they call it, was not appropriately filed many years ago. So we, for 15 years, have been accessing storage areas that we have in the back of the facility, and we have been going outside and then entering locked doors and then moving the alcohol into the facility proper. The ABC investigator has, Carolyn has acknowledged that that's what we've been doing all these years, but when they go through the file, the proper form was not filed, acknowledging that that's the way that we do it. And so they have asked us to go through this procedure.
That's what this is here tonight.
And I have a print of as-built that I'd be happy to show.
Okay, who's-
Kathy does have a
Yeah.
picture. When they say premises, they're talking the licensed premises, and they're saying that we never specifically licensed the area of egress in the back that we've been using.
Okay, maybe you could point that out, because I'm not,
Yeah, I will right now.
David's got one.
same as
He's
this
got the same thing.
Yeah, that's the same print, and we have storage here, here, and here.
Okay,
And we have a door here. This area has always been accessible only from the outside for 15, 16 years. This area at one point was accessible through here, but a combination of fire and building at the time didn't want the door opening into that hallway. And so we, with the town's approval, moved that doorway here. The ABC acknowledges that they realize that we've been doing that, but in our legal description, which is, I don't know if you know this, but on a liquor license every year, we get a form that you guys sign, and it's just always had the same language that we've had the entire time. Well, the language needed to include that area. Okay, so what we've now done with Kathy's help is we've filed the appropriate form that simply includes that area so that we can access these places.
okay, but you're still gonna access it the same way, right?
Same way, we're not doing
Not doing
anything
anything.
different that we've been doing all along.
Okay. Okay, does the board have any questions?
When you unlock these, do you lock, come out and grab something, do you relock it each and every time?
We do where there's alcohol stored. These sheds don't contain valuable items or alcohol. They
Okay.
contain things like extra pots and pans. But the sheds that are, what we have on file with ABC is there is signage that those doors must be locked at all times. There are 4 manager keys, and when we stock and restock, we have someone standing out there when we go through. So the ABC came and
Have you
investigated that.
ever had any trouble with it?
No, not to my knowledge, because of that, no.
Hey, Dave, you have any questions?
No, it seems like a logical.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions or for or against the changes on this? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. What do you wish to do with this?
I move we grant the request.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, we grant the request for Plum Island Grill. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's a vote.
All right, you got it.
Okay. Town Administrator's Report.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know that we successfully set the tax rate at $11.32. It's down from $11.40 last year. And the February bills will be due on the 3rd of the month, since the first falls on a Saturday. Federal real estate bills. I also put a budget calendar in your Dropbox for your review, in the hopes of adopting it at the next Selectmen's meeting. We'll just, I just ask you to pay close attention to the dates for the annual town meeting, as the Memorial Day holiday falls around when we would normally have it, so we may want to adjust that. DPW, I want to let you know that we have received a resignation from James Stanley that's effective December 17th. Tim Leonard, the DPW director, has notified me that we're in need of subcontract labor for plowing. Anyone that's interested should contact him directly at 978-465-0862, extension 121. We've also posted the truck driver equipment operator job as being available. I didn't know if anyone had an opportunity to review the demolition bylaw for comments.
The what?
Demolition delay.
Demolition delay bylaw, sorry, that
Yeah,
the historical
I've
commission
read
has
them, but I haven't-
proposed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna make a suggestion that somebody make a presentation on it. I'm pretty familiar with this type of thing, but I know most of the selectmen aren't. And there's a number of key issues that are in those documents, certain thresholds and things like that. And I think, it would be good just to have either Martha or
Do you know
somebody
the
from
date?
the historical commission just kind of give us an overview of,
They have a meeting proposed, and I don't know the date off the top of my head. They were gonna be meeting with the planning board.
Yeah, we haven't, the planning board has received copies and would like to have an opportunity to talk about it at their next meeting, which will be next week. And then they were going to propose to meet with the historical commission after that,
to wait until after you have your meeting then.
Okay.
Tuesday next week?
Wednesday next week,
Wednesday night?
right.
Okay,
But that's just going to be the planning board talking about it.
Okay.
And just also wanted to remind you of the Community Preservation Act presentation, January 15th here. And finally, I have a quick claim deed for your execution for the property located at 3 Temple Boulevard. So that's going to be closing tomorrow morning. Yay.
Yeah. Oh, that's such good news.
Just if I may, we need a vote to execute that deed. It's actually the second time the board will be executing that deed. There were just some small changes in the easement language, which came upon as a result of some additional terms that were put in the P&S back a couple years ago when Tony was town council. So they were minor changes, but as a result, we do need another vote to execute the deed and and you to sign it as well.
Okay,
If you have
so
any questions, please.
I'll move that we execute the deed.
You second it?
Yes.
Okay, motion made and seconded, we execute the deed. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, unanimous. You gotta,
Sign it.
yeah,
If they could sign.
They can sign it, yeah.
Gladly. sign that one. Worked hard on that. Long time.
2007 you started?
Actually started the whole thing.
Okay,
January of '05.
anything else, Tracy?
Nope, that's
No,
it.
sir, okay.
Thank you, Trace.
You're welcome.
Okay, board and committee reports, Public Safety Complex Committee update.
All right.
Here we go.
I'm Martha Taylor, the chair of our Public Safety Complex Committee and Town Planner, and tonight we just wanted to give you an update of where we stand. We've been working on this for a number of months and give some background on how the project has gotten to be where it is. We have a number of members of our committee here tonight, including Tracy, Sam, Eric Svan, who is our citizen representative, and he's also an alternate to the ZBA, John Lucy, and Curtis Walton. Is anybody else here? Oops. Oh, okay. Just to give you a little bit of background on the project, we've known for a number of years that there are some significant issues with the police station. There was a self-evaluation report done back in 2004 when the master plan was being put together, which listed a number of issues which were then identified in the master plan itself under their inventory of community facilities. And they noted that the existing police station, which they've occupied since the early 70s, is too small, it's overcrowded, there's no room for future growth, it's functionally obsolete, it's not compliant with current building code, subject to repeated flooding, it doesn't meet current accreditation standards in terms of a number of things that they need. And there was a recommendation in the master plan to relocate or redevelop the police station potentially in a public safety complex. The Woodbridge School Committee, which was formed back in 2006, also looked at the police station in conjunction with the possibility of moving town offices over to the Woodbridge School, and then explored the option of expanding the police offices up into the first floor of Town Hall. And they noted the same deficiencies at the same time. We actually held a tour of the police station as well as the Woodbridge School to kind of alert people to the fact that there were serious issues here. The Capital Planning Committee issued a site inspection report with recommendations on May 8th of 2012, which also evaluated the current police station conditions, made a recommendation to conduct space needs assessment and recommendation to explore development and redevelopment options. There was a public safety site selection committee that was appointed in 2012, and they issued their midterm report just about exactly a year ago. And their task was to identify potential sites for a police facility or public safety complex, because it was recognized that there would be efficiencies in combining the Newbury Fire Protection 2 functions with the police functions. A number of sites, they looked primarily at town-owned sites. There were a number of sites identified, which we have since recognized that there are issues, some issues with. One was a Woodbridge School renovation with addition that would need a sally port and that kind of thing. The Governor's Academy site on Route 1, which was offered to the town for lease. Manterfield and Byfield, the Newbury Town Library, a combined municipal complex, town hall, police station, fire in this area, 25 High Road, Morgan Ave. The town forest is also one that's been talked about, and there's the possibility of other sites as well. We know with these sites, the Woodbridge School has been sold, is being converted to condominiums as we speak, so that's no longer on the table. The Governor's Academy is still a viable site. It hasn't been vetted yet. We know that we could tie into the Governor's Academy wastewater treatment plant, but the site development costs would be quite high because of the nature of the site, and getting a line down Route 1 to the wastewater treatment plant would also be costly. Mantor Field was acquired by the town specifically for recreation purposes and would need to go through a whole process with the legislature to release that. The Newbury Town Library is a new building. It was built under a grant, and we would actually have to pay that grant back. It would be $900,000 if we were to use it for another purpose. And the town forest at Boston Road, when we looked at it before, we were not able to get a perk out on that site. So all of these things really led us, the Public Safety Complex Committee, to look at the possibility, or focus on the possibility, of constructing a public safety complex here on the parcels that are currently owned by Protection 2. Through discussions between fire and police, it seems that it would be a mutually beneficial thing for them. There would be the possibility of efficiencies through shared spaces, and it would allow updating both facilities and allow for the construction of an up-to-date fire station here in Old Town, as well as maintaining the fire station, the Byfield Fire Station, so that both ends of town can be well served. I mean, the purpose here really is to arrive at the best solution that will be most effective for serving the population throughout the town. One of the first steps was to commission a building assessment report. We contracted with CSS Architects out of Wakefield, who had helped us before in the DPW building, and they did a thorough assessment. They looked at space and functional deficiencies, both in the fire department, where they noted that there's lack of sufficient space for firefighting apparatus, lack of facilities to meet current fire station standards, there are critical spaces missing. Mechanical and electrical systems were put in when the building was constructed back in the early 60s, and they're inefficient past their useful life. The police department, same issues that were identified earlier. It doesn't meet the current law enforcement standards. It's overcrowded. The working conditions are poor, not compliant with current building code, and there's no room for expansion. As part of this process, we also talked about what might happen with Town Hall if the police department were to vacate the basement, or the lower level. And they did an existing condition survey of this building as well as the police and fire, and determined that Town Hall currently is inadequate for current staffing levels. We've got overcrowded offices. Everybody knows that Sam, Doug, and Susan are shoehorned over in inspectional services, and Deb and Ginger are out in the trailer. We have no support space, no room for any private conference rooms. Storage space is minimal, and we have no room for our permanent record storage, which we're required to keep by the state. Currently, they were in the Woodbridge School, and now they're in trailers at the transfer station, and it's not ideal for conditions for permanent records. So the space needs assessment led us to the recommendation of combining fire, EMS, and police into one public safety complex. Spaces for both are about equal, 9,902 square feet for the fire and 9,403 for the police department. The overall square footage would be 21,509 square feet as a two-story building. And as I mentioned before, both departments feel that it would be mutually beneficial. There are financial and operational benefits due to shared support space and other program spaces. And also, no matter where this facility ends up, it's been a very useful exercise because the space needs assessment for both facilities will be valid for any final site that would be selected for these. The recommendation for Town Hall was to expand into the space vacated by the police department with two options. One would be to renovate the basement for offices and support spaces, but there are some head height issues there, especially with mechanical systems needing to run overhead. So we also looked at a second option, which would be to build a first-floor addition off that side of the building behind you for offices and renovate the basement for required permanent record storage and support spaces. We need space for the permanent record storage anyway, and it seemed like this might be a good, viable solution for that. So the benefits of the Morgan Avenue site are it would maintain the Upper Green as a municipal center. The facility can connect to available municipal water and sewer services, and the design, through the design, we can create a public safety building which is aesthetically compatible with Town Hall and the Upper Green, the bank, and so on. The other task that we did is we contracted with ARC Surveying and Engineering Associates, they're a local civil engineering firm, to do an existing condition site survey to verify that, in fact, the program that had been identified could fit on this site. They did a delineation of the property boundaries, the utilities, topography on the site, a wetlands delineation. The one piece of the whole evaluation that's still pending is the environmental assessment. The space needs program was tested on the site, and the conclusion was that the site can accommodate the space requirements of fire, EMS, police, and a potential expansion of Town Hall. The way this would work is that there's enough site to the east of the current fire department building so that the facility could be constructed and leave fire and police operational during that time, and then they would move over. The fire station would be demolished, and parking would be put in that area. CSS came, based on the program and the conceptual design that CSS did, they came up with estimated construction costs, and for the public safety building, construction costs would be $7,622,000. Soft costs, so that's design, engineering, so on, would be $1,868,000 for a total of $9,490,000. $9,490,000. And because there are shared spaces, dispatch, training, kitchen, some other key spaces, there would be potentially $385,000 in construction savings due to these shared spaces and shared utilities over building two separate buildings, and also potentially $500,000 in site development costs savings over constructing two buildings. We've also looked at what the estimated annual utilities and maintenance costs would be, and we're estimating about $40,000. Town Hall expansion, the first option that I talked about, renovating the basement for offices, would be $817,500 for construction, soft costs of $167,000, for an estimated total of $984,500. And option two, expanding out for offices and renovating the first floor for storage and some support space, would be $916,000 for construction, soft costs of $187,000 for an estimated total of $1,103,000. The next steps are to finalize negotiations with the fire company. Those are going on right now, and Tracy may be able to speak a little bit more to that. As the contract for environmental assessment is tied into those negotiations. To review the report with the Finance Committee and the Capital Planning Committee, which we would hope to do in January of 2014, and then go before a town meeting in May 2014 to request funding for design services for the complex. This is a conceptual plan done by CSS. Again, it was just a fit plan to see if it would work on the site, And to kind of get the square footage areas down, it's not intended to be a final design by any means. There would be a whole other process for that to, look at the spaces, the adjacencies, and fine-tune square footages and that kind of thing. But it allowed us to at least verify that the site is viable and get a sense of what the construction costs would be. So the red areas are fire, and the yellow area on the right-hand plan, which is the first floor, is dispatch. The sort of greenish is EMS, and the rest of it would be police. And then here's an aerial view of what the complex could potentially look like with the new building down in the lower portion of the screen, and then town hall with the addition up kind of right in the middle of the screen. So that's basically where we are now. And so if you have any questions, or if any of the committee members want to add anything above and beyond.
I was gonna say, you've done a lot of work so far. My God, there's a lot to this.
Yeah, my first question is parking. We don't have adequate parking when we have significant attendance at a meeting in town hall. If there's a function in the fire station, we typically don't have adequate parking for that, and I don't see a whole lot of parking in this plan. So what are we going to do about that issue?
Well, some of this,
Not to mention our zoning.
in terms of parking per zoning,
Yeah.
some of the things, like the function hall right now is not going to be there in its current incarnation. So we won't have those issues to deal with. CSS has looked at our parking requirements, and I think what they're showing here, they feel meets the needs. But again, that's something that will be verified as we actually get into a final design
Right, I
process.
presume septic would be under the parking then?
We're tying into municipal sewer,
Oh, okay.
so we don't need to worry about that, yeah.
The other question, and you kind of alluded to, is that because it's a public-private partnership, who pays for what?
I don't understand what you mean, a public-private
Well,
partnership.
in other words, that we have a private fire company, but we have, a town offices.
This is a municipal police and fire complex. It's the town of Newbury Fire Department.
So what would be the relationship then with the?
It's the exact same relationship that we currently have. The employees are all employees of the town currently. The only thing that we're discussing in our negotiations is whether or not the company would retain ownership of the apparatus that they currently own, or whether or not that would be part of the
They
exchange.
currently own it's my understanding, they currently own the building and the property, right?
Correct,
So
and the equipment.
right. And the equipment I can understand, but how are we gonna deal, are they going to sell the property to the town?
That's what we're negotiating right now. We've had our first meeting, and we hope to have a second meeting sometime during this month to finalize the details of that.
So then, do we lease the space to them?
No.
So they get it for free, where Byfield had to pay
Well,
for
they
their
don't
own-
get, again, it's the town of Newbury's municipal fire department that is going to be occupying the space. We are no longer going to be leasing the facility that we currently lease, because that facility is not gonna be there
I'm just trying to understand the
anymore.
relationship, because this is a very different arrangement than we've
Sure.
had in the past, and it's also very different from what I imagine will continue with the Byfield Protection One
Yep.
going forward. And I just feel that I want to understand where the balance is, because I feel like both
Yep.
companies ought to be treated equally by the town, and I'm not sure that I'm seeing that yet.
Each company would have to negotiate that individually. There are no proposed changes to Byfield
Right,
at this time, nope.
So basically, the taxpayers would pay for everything. Except for, they'd pay the full, whatever, it's 9 million or whatever the final cost.
It would be owned by the town, yes.
Okay, so
yes.
then, my follow-up question would be, obviously, we would have to borrow the money.
Correct.
So, in terms of, again, we're not sure we're gonna do this, but let's say at current interest rates, I know they're reasonably low, and our town's financial rating is getting better as time goes on, but, you know, what's that gonna cost the average,
We're doing the calculations right now. I'm working with First Southwest, our financial advisor, to determine the best way of financing, whether we do level debt service or level principal. And at that point in time, as we move, if we move forward with it, we'll have all the numbers available, what it would cost the average taxpayer. Because there'd have to be two components of this. There'd have to be the debt exclusion override, which we'd need to determine whether we wanted to borrow for 20 or up to 30 years. We'd have that option. And then there'd also be a proposal for a general override component for funding the operational expenses of the facility, which we've estimated to be about $40,000. So there'd be two pieces that would be in the proposal.
'cause obviously, I mean, since this has already been put in the paper, people are already asking questions and,
Sure.
you know, wondering whether this is really a Cadillac facility or, you know, whatever, but, aside from that, I think, you know, before we even go to town meeting, just for the design services, we better have all the numbers.
Of course. Yep, that has to be in the article. Yep.
Well, no, I mean, for the annual town meeting, we're only talking about design services, but we need to still see the big picture, or,
The proposal would have, well, I shouldn't say that. I can't imagine that the cost estimates would fluctuate that significantly from what we're looking at now. Is that fair to say? So the proposal would be an authorization for town meeting to allow us to borrow up to a dollar amount, and that would include site development costs, design costs, construction costs.
that's where I'm puzzled, because in Martha's presentation, it was my understanding that at the spring annual meeting, that we would only be asking for the money for design services and not the full 9 million or whatever it's gonna turn out to be.
You can do that. I've seen communities who go in for the design costs, not knowing whether or not they're gonna have the authorization to move forward with the full construction. I think it's probably more prudent to get the vote in its entirety, to have town meeting approval as well as,
And if there's a debt
The ballot
exclusion,
initiative.
ballot box and so forth.
because that's the first question that people are gonna ask us, is what's it gonna cost on the
Yeah.
average tax bill?
Yeah, I mean, I just think we gotta get our story straight here, because it's not totally clear right now what the strategy is, and yet,
I
to ask
don't,
for that, to ask the voters for that kind of money, you know, we better explain things very carefully and.
right, this is the first phase, though, we're not even, we're trying to identify a location. Once we've got the location identified, then we'll attach all the final costs and move into the financing phase. But before we get anything presented to town meeting, those numbers will be finalized.
And I guess one final question, and that is the property at, by Governor's Academy, you mentioned that the site development would be difficult there, is it, why is that?
It's pretty bony property there, so,
It's a lot of blasting and stuff.
yeah, so I think it would be, a lot of ledge, it'd be pretty challenging.
Chuck?
Set, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Anybody else want to say anything? Members of the committee?
And we do have copies of the CSS report to hand out. This one will be for Joe, that's the original.
Okay.
And also, do each one.
Thank you.
So, well, thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you for all the work.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Sam, you're all set? Do you have anything?
Hope you like it.
All right, let's see, we've done that, we're down to protection 2 wants, is requesting under new and old business, request for installation of a banner on the backstop to advertise the January 11th, 2014 bonfire at Spencer Little Farm.
Oh, all right, here it is.
Yeah. Okay,
Hi, Curtis Walton, from Newbury Fire. Basically, we're sent a request, gave a request to the chief last week, and just dropped off a copy today.
Yeah.
Just asking for the blessing, as always, for this fourth annual bonfire that's coming up.
Okay.
Should be a good time. Just just looking for the blessing. That's pretty much what we're looking for.
You're all set with it, chief? Everything's all set with it? The bonfire? Okay.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Dave, you second it?
Second, yeah.
Motion made and seconded that we approve the installation of the banner and the backstop advertising the bonfire at Spencer Little Farm. And B, Protection Fire Committee request permission to host the annual bonfire on January 11th, 2014, from 3 to 9 p.m. Setup starting at 1 p.m. Do a motion?
So moved.
Can we vote on the first one first?
We voted on the first one.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, unanimous vote. 3 Temple Boulevard closing, we've completed that. Okay, we're ready for the discussion of senior support staff, fire department input from council and Chief Pearson. Ginny Kramer's here, our town council, and Chief Pearson, and
Hi, Jen.
Hi.
Gavin here from the Board of Fire Affairs. We have some members from protection too.
Hi.
And Jen.
Okay. I looked a little more into it, I'd like you to look at that, things, you get down,
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Fewer action items. Did you author this, Chief?
What's that?
Did you author this? Is this from you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to refresh my mind on
Okay.
the ongoing conversation that we've had for
All right.
many meetings now.
Months.
Where do we go from here?
I'm happy to make a couple comments. I've had the opportunity to look at this. First, I'd like to put to rest any concern that anyone may have about age discrimination lawsuit, because the maximum retirement age of 65 for firefighters has been determined by the personnel administrator to be a bona fide occupational qualification. And both federal and state anti-discrimination laws provide that any bona fide occupational qualifications for public safety personnel are permissible. So there can't be an anti-discrimination lawsuit. In other words, the state and federal legislatures have said that it is reasonable to have a top age limit for public safety personnel, and they're basically exempted from the anti-discrimination laws based on age. So that's not a concern that the town needs to have. With respect to the first reference here of Chapter 31 to Section 58A, there's also been legal determinations that this applies to towns even that don't contribute to the public employment retirement system and haven't accepted this portion of the statute. So that's also not a concern that the town should have. I think that the important thing to recognize here is that I think we've been through all of the action items already. I guess unless you think that the town's insurance company is biased. We have been through all of those steps, that the Fire Chiefs Association of Massachusetts agrees with the opinion I've rendered and with the opinion that every town council that I have read has rendered, that this is not a discretionary determination on the part of the town, that keeping firefighters employed past their 65th birthday would open the town to liability should the firefighter fail to perform his obligations. I know there's one scenario with what would happen to the firefighter if he was injured on the job, and the insurance company, I believe, said that that would be covered. But if an injury occurs by a firefighter that is in excess of 65, it's pretty clear that the insurance company would have a problem insuring the town. And the state fire marshal thinks that the retirement age is mandatory. It's pretty much accepted that that is the case. So, I understand that there are people that don't like that conclusion, but I have to say that this isn't really a close call legally. And I would have to side with the Fire Chiefs Association of Massachusetts, the State Fire Marshal's Office, and every other town council's opinion that I've read that has come to the same conclusion. So I think that, there's liability concerns is really the thing for the town, should it choose to ignore this body of I don't want to call it law, because until it comes before a court. But I think that it has been consistently interpreted by many people, and those opinions all point in the same direction. And the insurance company agreed, when asked about this, said that we should follow the law as it's been set forth by PERAC, which is in the memo, the opinion that I gave in October.
Okay. The only thing I know over and above this is that Maya was the one that said follow the law, but Maya will not give any written statement, neither insurance company will give a written statement on, we won't cover people over 65 because it's discriminatory, and they won't give us a letter saying that they won't do that.
Well, I think that they didn't say that they won't cover people over 65. I think that what they said is that if somebody else is injured as a result of a post-65-year-old firefighter, somebody in a burning house isn't rescued, person or property or injury results if the fire truck crashes into a building, that's being driven by a 68-year-old firefighter, that when there's a lawsuit against the town for damages to person or property, that is going to be the problem for the town, because they're going to take the position, most likely, and nobody can say until it happens and they know what the claim is, but that you were advised by your town administrator, by your legal counsel. The law in Massachusetts has been consistently interpreted to require firefighters to retire at 65. It was not reasonable for the Board of Selectmen to choose to ignore all of that advice and in that body of opinion, and continue to employ these people. And as a result, there has been a death or an injury or injury to property, and insurance companies, as you know, are good at finding ways to avoid covering losses once they occur. So that would be my concern as your town council, that you would be exposed to that. And of course, the person would have to prove the causation and all of that, but that would be my concern for the town. That's a liability that would be opened up, and I believe that the representative from the town's insurer expressed the same concern.
I was trying to ask a question. Just, unfortunately, we don't have the whole board here tonight, but to try to summarize where I think we were at the last meeting is that the clean solution is a home rule petition. And I think there was a consensus of the board that we were willing to move forward in that direction. The concern, of course, is that it's not something that happens overnight. It can take a considerable length of time. So, what we're trying to figure out is what to do in that interim period. And again, you came up with sort of your job description. The Board of Fire Engineers had some issues, and the chief can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the key issue really came down to driving the equipment, I think. It was like,
Yes.
right, that it seemed like they're willing to accept everything else that you had put in your description, but the key thing is this driving of equipment. But then you've just presented us with a scenario of a fire truck crashing into a building, and the concern being that under the law, it would be very easy for the insurance company to get out from covering the town's liability in a case like that.
And
That's sort of where we're at.
Yeah, just to restate, I don't know that the special legislation is a clean solution. If it passes the legislature, there still could be an argument by the insurance company that Newbury is going against state law. I mean, I think that if we do get special legislation that somehow exempts the town of Newbury from the state mandatory retirement age, that we would need to re-examine that with the insurance company at that time and find out what their position is going to be on that. I know that people feel that 65 is arbitrary, but every single law draws a line somewhere. That's what laws do. 140 feet of frontage instead of 139. You could argue, what's the difference? This is still a great lot. I want to build my house on it, but every single law draws a line. This law draws a line at 65. There are many people over the age of 65 who could competently perform the duties of a firefighter. There are some people at the age of 30 who could not competently perform the duties of a firefighter. But this law is a proxy for what the people that we send to Beacon Hill believe, and this is really a national standard. 65 is about the time where most people you would start to have a concern about, given the extreme life and death situations that public safety personnel are put in. I think that a line has been drawn at 65. So if Newbury wants to get special legislation, I think that we would have to re-examine at that point what the insurance company's position would be on that, because the town would be, an outlier. So in the interim, if that's the course that the town wishes to take, while we're pursuing the special legislation, I would strongly recommend that the town follow the state maximum, and that would include driving the trucks. It would include anything that could potentially cause a life or death injury to person or property.
Will you say that again? What's the state maximum?
65. So if Newbury would like to pursue special legislation that would let them keep on individuals on the fire department subject to maybe an annual exam or something like that post age 65, and I would definitely recommend that there would be an annual exam, or at least an annual exam, then until that special legislation is received, I think it would be important to follow the state law as it exists. And the state law as it exists would not allow fire personnel to drive the apparatus. So that's where that description came from.
Just a couple of questions. Can I go here?
Sure.
Bob Connors, 39 Annapolis Way. I just want to be clear. Is there any case law that determines that the way the statute is written, or that the municipality must accept the statute for it to be in effect? There's no case law of record in the courts, and we're only relying upon written legal opinions from lawyers?
That is how it's been consistently interpreted by the Public Employment Retirement Administration Commission, known as PERAC, which is the state agency that administers Chapter 32. So
For retirements, that's for retirements, right?
But they administer Chapter 32, which is retirement provisions, but they have squarely held that uniformed member of a paid fire department is applicable to call firefighters, and that the mandatory retirement provisions are also applicable. Now, the courts of the Commonwealth, under the law from back when there was a third branch of government, consistently give deference to state agencies that are charged with administering particular state laws. So the PERAC opinion their interpretation, consistent interpretation of this, will be entitled to deference in the courts of the Commonwealth when this comes up. But there is not an appellate court decision by the appeals court or the Supreme Judicial Court on this issue. So right now, all the town has to go on is the state agency's opinion, the opinion of the Fire Chiefs Association of Massachusetts, the opinion of the state fire marshal, and the opinion of many town council that come to the same conclusion that PERAC has come to.
Which leads me to believe this is really a gray area. It's not well-settled law. If you disagree with a state agency, the courts would be where you adjudicate that disagreement. And I appreciate this, but it seems to me this is about liability management. The town starts out with all the liability, just like a business would start out with all the liability. And then what you try to do is to reduce your liability. And it's either by increasing your coverage or obtaining certificates of insurance or indemnification or hold harmless agreements from other parties so that you continue to reduce that risk down to a manageable level.
I guess if we could get a hold harmless agreement from all of the inhabitants of the town of Newbury, that would be a start. I don't know who else you'd get hold harmless agreements from. Anybody who could be injured in the town of Newbury. It would be a lot of people.
It seems to me that the course of action that I would suggest is insurance policies are very specific, they're very complex, but they create the liability that the town is not covered for, but it also creates the coverage that the insurance company is going to provide. And it's very specific. There's either exclusions or there are not. Now, it seems like a proper course of action would be hire the proper consultant expert in insurance matters. And that's not a lawyer. That's not the insurance company. That's an expert. And there certainly are a number of insurance experts that are available throughout Massachusetts or New England. That would be the very people who would be testifying in court as an expert on the intricacies and phraseology of your insurance policies. But it seems to me we have just as much a risk that if we start having our fire stations being undermanned because of staffing levels, that's as great a concern to me as this gray area liability that has never been tested in the courts, and when we seem to be relying on the opinions of lawyers, which, which are valuable guidance, but that's what they are. It's guidance. It's not well-settled law. Thank you.
We just, like the last thing we said, we could just call them truck drivers and drive the truck. They're exempt from the CDL licensing to begin with, so that most of them don't have to have a CDL license. But most of the people that we have right now are more qualified because they do have CDL licenses to drive the truck. And we were just gonna call them, like it says in the pamphlet I gave you, that we were gonna have them as firemen, like, the last time we said we'd put jackets on them and call them truck drivers, and they would not be firefighters. We'd just call them truck drivers, and that would leave us with other firefighters to fight the fire. And these would just be plain truck drivers, and they wouldn't be going into the fire, near the fire, or by the fire. All they were gonna do is drive the truck so that somebody else could go in there. And it would give us, sometimes we only have 2 people during the day. Sometimes the first go out, and then we have people in back there that run the radio. We don't have anybody a lot of times. Just extra personnel that are available.
There's 2 things that comes to mind. With with the insurance and the coverage for the liability, how would you feel if we got an independent party to assess the company's insurance and the town's insurance? And to give us they're not connected to either insurance company. And tell us what these policies cover. How much of a liability coverage do we have in place? If it's not enough, then they probably would suggest we rewrite our policies to include some type of liability, and then put the thing out to bid. Insurance companies bid on these changes. I think just about anything is insurable. That's one thought I had. And the other thought was, the bottom line, there's 2 or 3 people on our department, on the Byfield department right now. I don't think Protection 2 has any over 65 that are very valuable to our operation, okay? And daytime coverage, they have CDLs. One person comes to mind because he does a lot of the repairs of the equipment. He did all the specs for all the trucks, all the ambulances we purchased, and we want to get some more time out of him. We don't want him to retire right now. That's the bottom line. And I was hoping possibly that you could get together with the Board of Fire Engineers and come up with some type of plan. I have enough faith in the Board of Fire Engineers that they know what the limitations are. And I know they're not gonna, because I never went into a building up there after I was 60, let alone 65, all right? So they know the limitations, and they know what to do, and they've been doing it. Protection 1 is almost 90 years old, and Protection 2 is almost as old. There's like 20 years difference. And a lot of the people that are over 65 are really still in good shape, and even though it serves 2 purposes. Some of the seniors get a chance to supplement their income by being dispatchers and doing different things. This particular person, he's the best pump operator we have, and he trains the younger guys and everything else. And you just don't want to lose the services right now. I guess that's the bottom line. I can't see it any plainer. So I'd like to find some way for the interim that we allow the Board of Fire Engineers to keep operating the way they've allow the Board of Fire Engineers to operate the way they have been, bearing in mind, they know about the 65 limit law, they know about the limitations, what they can and they can't do, and I trust that they'll do the right thing. And in the meantime, I'd like to see us pursue this, I'd like to, the town meeting
Special
Legislation.
exemption, and see how far it goes, and we'll go to the legislature with it. But we can't, so, between now and town meeting, I'd like to just, it isn't a quick fix, you just can't just up and just say, oh, you can't do this anymore, because we depend on them too much. So, that's what I'd like to do, I don't know how the rest of you feel.
I guess I'm having a little trouble here, because I'm hearing from town council, and obviously we hired the firm and the individual because we had respect for their opinion. And then I'm hearing from some, I'm sure, lawyers who mean well, but I'm especially skeptical of the insurance consultants, because in my experience, you can always find a consultant that'll give you the answer you want. So,
Well, I think you could insure anything you want.
well, again, but you may not want to pay the premiums.
Right, I mean, this is something we'd have to discuss,
Yeah.
that's another issue.
I just wanted to say just one thing, that there aren't consultants that would testify as to coverage in a court of law. If there's a dispute as to coverage, that's an issue of law for the judge to decide. So, you know, an insurance agreement is a contract, so the judge would decide. I've done insurance litigation. The judge decides what the contract says. There are two people who can look at the same contract and say that is covered, and then there are all kinds of exclusions and other things that the insurance company says, well, that kicks in, and this is not covered because of that. So it's not necessarily cut and dried. I understand what you're saying, that one thing we haven't done and do not know is said to the town's insurer, we would like to have a rider on our policy that insures firefighters up to the age of 70. Would you give us that, and what would it cost? And then we could clearly have that in place. If you wanted to get 3 opinions of what that would cost, you could do that. And that way, it would at least be clear that that's the coverage that the town was seeking to get. And if there was ever, and it, you know, whether or not you'd want to pay the premium for it is a different question, but make it clear that it's something that would be covered. I don't know if they would do that or not. It didn't sound like it, but.
We did discuss that, and that, I think you were on the telephone
In the meeting.
in
yeah,
the meeting.
yeah.
We had conversations about that. VFIS will cover them beyond the age of 65, but that's only an injured on duty policy. That's like a workers' comp policy, but Maya will not.
You have liability.
There may be someone else out there, I don't know if you had those
Private insurance.
conversations
Lloyd's
with any
of
of your
London.
insurers.
Yeah, exactly.
No?
There is a law on the books, I can't quote chapter and verse, that says the chief can press into duty any able-bodied person when the fire alarm rings. I don't believe there is an age limit on that law. Okay. How is that gonna play into this? What if he goes to this person and presses him into duty every time he shows up?
I would be surprised if that was a enforceable law at this point. I think that's probably a pretty old law. I don't,
It is.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that doesn't make it non-viable just because it's antiquated.
Well,
We get a lot of.
I've heard a lot of rumors about old laws, and I'd like to, I'd like to see the chapter and verse first.
right.
Well,
I could,
I think we
I could
should-
find out if that.
yes,
Is
I
a-
believe, one, we should look at that. And to that end, didn't Rockport pass something along these?
Yeah, they did, it's in your packet.
I did have an opportunity at the last meeting. Selectman Bulgaris asked me to contact them, and I spoke with their assistant administrator and provided you some documentation on what exactly the Board of Selectmen, the vote that they took, the
Yes.
requirements. They
Right.
require the individuals to sign a hold harmless agreement. They require them to have an annual physical, not administered by their own doctor, but administered by a doctor of the town's choosing, and it's the full-time firefighter's physical. I don't know what it entails, but that's what it's determined to be.
Quick question on
And
that.
follow a
But that
job
doesn't-
description
that-
similar to
I mean, I'm reading the
ours.
document, it doesn't address town liability, it's really about the individual.
It was specifically for 4 individuals, and when those 4 aged out, it was 65. It was kind of the situation like what we're facing here. And that was what we had talked about last meeting, that, between now and when we could get town meeting and the legislature to accept special legislation, that they would follow, that model, that job description model, but that still doesn't address the driving the trucks issue, because that was specifically identified as a firefighter function, if you will. So that seems to be the one issue that we're still struggling with.
Driving trucks and manning pumps, right? I mean, that's really what
Right.
we're down to.
Right. I think that was it.
The physical that everybody keeps talking about, is that on par with CDL physical, or is it much more stringent? Any clue?
I don't know.
I
I don't
know
know
the answer to
the,
Because I know you have to have a medical card for a CDL.
right.
Well, we insure
Okay.
the trucks, the fire department insures the truck, we pay insurance,
Right,
so we cover the guy driving the truck generally.
yes.
do you know what's involved in the full-time fireman's physical? Do you know what the requirements are?
Not generally.
Sounds like we still have a lot to find out here. Yeah. Because as Mike said, we really, really want to keep these guys on here, and if we can find any way to do that, or at least exhaust all possibilities, if we could look into that rule, that the chief can press in
I will look
anybody,
into
and
that.
I don't think there's an age thing with that, but I've been wrong before. Please look into that
Okay,
for
sure,
us.
sure,
Okay?
absolutely, yep,
Thank you.
Okay, would
Yeah.
you stay in contact with the chief and meet with them on it?
sure, sure.
All right, thank you.
He's right here.
Oh, yeah. Do you have a card or?
All right, what do we gonna table this? Or what do
I
we-
think, well, we need more information, plus I think we need to bring the other selectmen into the conversation
Oh,
again,
definitely.
too. But,
I think that's a very
Sounds like
good
there's-
idea.
yeah.
Motion to table.
yeah. I mean, the good news is we don't have bad fires very often in town.
Yes, that is the good news. Except bonfires.
Of course, then the bad news,
Are very
the
fun,
bad news is the young guys don't get much practice, so.
yeah. Am I free to go?
Okay,
I believe
I
so.
have motion to table.
okay.
I'll
Mo-
second.
Motion and second to table this, how long? 2 meetings, 3 meetings?
Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think since we're getting into the holidays,
We'll go to the
let's-
end of January,
yeah, maybe our second meeting in January,
second meeting in January.
give everybody time to
Okay.
get
Oh, that's
more
correct.
information.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
All right.
Aye, okay. We voted to table this till the second meeting in January. Hopefully we'll have more information, and we'll be able to make a decision at that time. And that way, hopefully we'll have a full complement of the board.
So the only piece of information that we're lacking is the charge, the general law that you're looking for? Is that all?
General
Does
law.
that, that doesn't
And-
mean we're gonna, I mean, we'll probably keep looking and seeing if we can, I've got a couple sources that I'm gonna
Okay.
seek out.
And
And,
insurance, right? Which is the
insurance, yeah.
biggest thing is will they,
I would like some feedback from somebody about liability.
all
This
right.
this has come up so many times, and it seems like we answer it, but when we come back, there's always another liability. So I wanna know once and for all, get something from the insurance company, what they cover for liability. What is what?
Are they covering
Are they doing
firefighters
that? Do we-
over the
do-
age of
Yeah,
65?
do
You
we
wanna
need,
know
do
in
we
writing.
do we need a rider? Can we get a rider? Is there any company out there that will insure them?
Yeah.
I'd like to know.
They're gonna insure the town, not insure the
Right.
firefighter.
Right.
And,
We've got that
we
covered.
still have time to get this on the warrant for the town meeting,
Right.
right? Okay, so we don't need to act tonight, we can still, okay.
Well, she can be drafting the legislation
And
while
Bill,
this
probably
is
from
going
your
on.
end, on your insurance company, have them do the same thing. Because they they've got a right up that protects the town, so. We'll go from there.
All right,
All right,
thank you.
let's go on to the next thing. Media Committee, David, mission statement for comments and approval.
Yep, was handed out a couple of meetings back. Has anybody read it?
I did,
Any,
I'm happy with it.
I asked the committee to try to make it short and to the point. And I think they did a good job
Yeah.
in that respect, so.
Yep. You got any questions on it, Chuck? Are you all set? Okay, what do you wanna do with the media committee? You wanna accept it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to do this for some of our other committees as well, I think. We need to make it clear, what the responsibilities are of every committee, but at least with this
Okay.
one, I think it's pretty straightforward, so,
Should we,
You're-
do
you're
we have to
happy
vote
with-
it?
I think we should,
Okay.
yeah. Because, I mean, after all, we created the
Yeah.
committee, we appoint the members, so,
Okay, and you're the one that's gonna be running it, so you happy with it the way it is?
yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
is there a motion to accept?
I'll,
yeah,
okay,
Yeah.
I'll second.
I'll
You'll move.
do
you'll
the
second.
motion.
Okay.
No,
Okay, are you seconding it or you moving it?
I don't care.
Oh,
I don't care.
All right. Check, okay.
Yeah.
Motion made and seconded, we accept the media committee's report. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
yeah.
Okay, unanimous vote. Commercial claim applications and regulations for review and approval at January 14th meeting. They're in our packets. So all we have to do is read them and report back on the 14th.
Plan
All
report.
right, Kathy?
I saw it when I was looking through 'em.
Okay,
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the new.
Yeah. So this is the new
we do.
this is the new application in,
yeah,
This is what's on the books right now, so if you want any changes made, we need to know before the 14th so we can make the changes. It's the end of the month, yeah,
why can't I find that foolish thing?
it's in there.
okay.
I know.
G, request, was this from the Board of Health, to appoint Donald Russo as limited health agent for the purpose of issuing burial permits in the absence of the town clerk and David Roberts, period. I have no problem with it, but who's Donald Russo? Is he associated with another?
He's associated with the Roberts funeral home.
Okay.
And what this only kicks in if Dave Roberts and Leslie both are not available to sign a burial.
It's a backup for backup.
Yeah.
Backup for the backup.
Okay.
exactly. That's
Motion
the
to
backup.
approve.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded, we approve the appointment of Donald Russo as limited health agent. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we're gonna sign the 2014 liquor licenses.
There's quite a few, right?
Yeah.
Where are they?
The list is in there, I have the licenses.
Right, okay. So I'll move that we renew the liquor licenses for the Parker River Pub and Grill, Old Town Country Club, Corner Cupboard, D&J Liquors, Dick's Variety, Mr. Mo's, BGS Variety, Newbury Butchery, Old Newbury Golf Club, Plum Island Beachcomber, and last but not least, Plum Island Grill.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, next, I guess, is business licenses, right?
Yeah, next page.
Yeah. 214 business license renewals. Somebody, you wanna start it again, Dave?
Oh,
You want me to read them?
so it's
Yeah.
not in Dropbox?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't see.
All right, business license
Maybe I'm
renewals
just not finding it.
2014. Aaron Trading Limited, David S. Pritchett, 108 Newburyport Turnpike. Noise Auto Service, James Noise, 1 Noise Lane. Adeline Rude Convene, thanks, it's all
Conference?
blurred right here, sorry about that. Retreat Center, 46 Elm Street. Riverfront Marine Sports, Inc., David/John Moulton, 292 High Road. Steve's Services, Stephen Andrea Totta?
Andrea Tola,
Andrea Tola, thank you.
52 minutes.
52 Main Street. Carla Capiluto, parking lot 26 Plum Island Boulevard. Plum Island Grill, Mark Friary, 2 Plum Island Boulevard. Mr. Mose, parking lot Evelyn Mahoney, 14 Plum Island Boulevard. Parker River Pub, 7 Grill, Paul Colombo, 6G Fruit Street. And Store Yourself Self-Storage, 12 Kent Way.
Right. Is there a motion?
Yes, motion to approve.
I'll second.
A motion to approve, and second, the 214 business license renewals for signatures. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's a vote.
Sorry for the bumbling.
It's okay. The next thing is we get a set, May 20th, 214 is the date of the annual town meeting, and May 13th is town election day.
Now, this was changed because of
Coming close to
holiday
Memorial
or
Day,
something,
Right, Memorial Day.
right?
for God's sakes.
It would be the Tuesday after Memorial Day.
All right,
All right,
you
Make a
need a
motion.
motion for
Yeah.
that?
Make a motion.
Yeah, okay, motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have a request for 6 one-day liquor licenses for the Byfield Community Arts Center, Cat in the Cradle Coffee Houses on 12/20/213, January 11th, 214, February 15th, 214, March 14th, 214, April 19th, 214, May 17th, 214, from 7:30 to 10:30. At the request of Linda Allen, I believe.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, last thing is Board of Selectmen's minutes, November 26th. What do you want to, has everybody had a chance to read them?
here? Were you here for that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, motion to approve.
Oh, okay,
I'll second.
okay, motion made and seconded, we approve the minutes of November 26th, 213. Are there any errors or omissions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's approved. Any communications? No communications? Okay, we're gonna sign warrants. Are there any meeting updates? No meeting updates. Executive sessions?
Think of a thing I've
No
been to.
executive sessions. All right. Last thing is adjournment.
Oh, well.
Warrants.
Okay, we're gonna sign the warrant.
I got some warrants.
Oh, my God, some sticky something there.
Oh, boy.
Signing hand tonight.
Good night.
When can we put in that rec for the rubber stamps?
Run out of ink.
Mike has to step to Chuck, he's the only one that signs this one.
Okay.
Check this?
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, that's for me? All right.
Look for the little pink arrows.
Huh. Sign your life.
Okay.
We don't sign over here though, right?
No, that's why I blocked it off. That's
Okay, there's two arrows, that's it?
Anywhere on those
Okay.
lines.
I'm gonna have writer's cramp before this is over.
You done with each? You want me to?
Yeah, you can, anything I put over here, I'm done with.
Okay.
We can give the binder clip
Warrants.
to whoever's at the end of the line.
Oh, goodness.
You have that, okay, good,
Leslie decided.
good. Does anyone have a
All
copy
right,
of
what
the
am I missing
information
here?
that
Aha.
Chief Peterson passed?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, here.
Just for-
Okay. One there.
There's that batch. This looks like a rainbow here.
Yeah, pretty.
Yeah, da, 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 da. I'm gonna get a stamp, I'm telling you.
This is a tough time of year with all the licenses.
Yep. Ah, another stack.
Somebody missed one here.
At least these are on like serious paper. Okay.
Yeah. Pass this down to David, I think he missed that one.
Okay. Okay, I was having such a good time here, I thought I was getting them all. All right, so,
Yeah, da, 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 da. Oh, next week I'm down the Cape.
David checked both of us
Stay
this
down
one.
there, right?
what? Wow,
It's gonna be cold.
I'm just trying to get through all this faster, that's all.
Feet in the air,
He missed it too.
and actually.
Bridge?
Okay, you can send that one back down to Chuck.
Good money though.
Bridge work?
Well, they like to put
Yeah.
You can sign that one, Chuck.
Oh,
Must have been stuck with something else.
Yeah, there's 6 licenses that need to be signed there.
oh, I've made a mess here.
Check those 2 white sheets next to.
Oh, duh. Come on.
So we're not giving away any money tonight, huh?
Guess not.
Is it gonna be nice tomorrow?
That's what rumor has.
Nice and cold.
I think so.
Yeah.
No precipitation, I don't.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
I like cold.
Okay, so here's the next batch.
How we doing?
we're still
Oh my
coming.
God, are these all
Yeah.
signatures here? Oh, they are.
Here, Dave, you may as well start these while I do these.
Ah, jeez. Thought I was gonna get out of these. Yeah, I thought I was gonna get out of these. Always seems like we have a stack of these.
So you're all set for Christmas, kid? All right. Come on. You can do it. What's it? That's it. Almost
asleep there, kid?
I know.
Fall asleep?
Found a fancy pen.
Oh, good grief.
Okay,
Oh,
so this,
seems funny, me signing these things.
Mike, these are all yours, Mike.
Loud, right?
Tracy, just a question. Since we're moving towards electronic records and stuff, you know, in terms of the things that we have to keep for all time, do those still have to be on paper, or how does that work?
There are some that have to be maintained in hard copy. Most of the town clerk's records are in perpetuity and.
Okay, so anything that is sort of in perpetuity will still have to use paper?
Right.
But anything else can be electronic, and then
Can
you
be
just
electronic and then
just
can be disposed of.
delete the files at the
So how
appropriate
much
time?
space do you honestly think you need for,
You still need quite a bit of space because not only do you have to have your files filed accordingly, usually by function, by department, but you also want to have an area where people can go in and research, because most times when people are looking into the town clerks, they're doing family type research, and they need to take boxes down and open books and have an area to work out of. And we also want to make sure that it's humidity controlled to some
Right.
degree.
It's securable.
100 by 100, or?
Trying to think. What's the square footage downstairs? Do you know off the top of your head? So maybe half of that? 1,500.
These go to Kathy, yeah.
About 1,500 square
Tracy,
feet.
oh, those go to Tracy.
Yes, thank you.
Because I mean, given the flooding problems and stuff we have down there, it doesn't strike me as the basement's a good place to store records.
Those
I suppose the only-
issues would have to be addressed. It's probably better than where they are now.
No more? Oh, come on, I was just getting going.
Do we adjourn? We need a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Chuck, are you gonna second it?
Yes.
Motion made, second, we adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, one and all.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, rubbish.
Martha, good job.